Let's welcome Amy Vorpahl to Dragon Talk.
Yay! Woohoo! Amy! Yeah.
That's a great welcome.
Our studio
Live audience.
We ply them with alcohol, and they.
It is a party up in here. Oh, yep, we got keg stands going off in the corner.
All right.
Okay, easy, Tiger. Yeah, I cut him off. It's my dog, actually. I was like literally passed out on the floor.
Oh, I'm babysitting Becca Scott's dog.
Oh.
And he is right.
Oh, sweetie.
Oh yeah, he just likes being nearby.
I know. Sleeping dogs, like that old cliche, let sleeping dogs
what?
Lie?
Oh,
let
sleeping
what?
dogs lie.
Let them do what? Let sleeping dogs lie. Like,
what is that?
Don't hurt the dog.
What's the idiom?
What do I do with this dog? It's just lying here.
Yes.
Let them lie. They're just the cutest when they're asleep.
I know. Yeah, and not barking. Our apartment's pretty right next to the mailboxes. And so any time someone is approaching to get their mail, they're literally on our porch. And that's like a problem for, a little puppy who...
A lot of woofing involved.
Yeah, a lot of woofing.
Woofing. Protect.
Well, I was excited because I got to meet Becca Scott's dog at D&D Live.
Yes.
No way.
Yeah, it was amazing. She brought him to our little after party get together.
That's how we started. We babysat him because she was saying, "Oh, I felt so guilty because I left him at home the whole day. I was hosting D&D Live, and when my boyfriend found out, he was like, "Nuh-uh, get that dog over here. Like, I'll take care of him."
Oh,
and so now I told her, I was like, next time you're like even nervous, just even if it's like, just a few more hours than you'd like, let us know because we really do. We have space for him, and we have obviously the mailbox isn't ideal, but we will take care of him and he will get so many pets.
Oh, that's so sweet. I'm kind of jealous though that dog got to go to D&D Live and
yes. I mean, but
3 out of 4 people on this podcast
yes, exactly.
have been to D&D Live.
Oh, that's awesome. It was so great. All of your work on D&D Live, writing all of the stuff behind the scenes, as well as being on camera, as awesome as you were. What was it like? I know you and I got to talk about it, but what was it like?
Well, from beginning to end, it was. I think it started off as not quite a whirlwind, and then it ramped up into Whirlwind City, which, from my experience with live television, that's exactly right. So. From the get-go, I was Lucas was the showrunner, and he needed some help on the creative end. And when he asked me and tagged me, it was like pretty much a sure thing, right away. And then we just jumped in, and my experience of writing for live television came from, or I guess you would call it internet television or streaming, but it's still TV and it's shows. So I don't know what it's called. I call it television because it makes me feel fancy. But it came from Mothership, which was, if you remember, the digital platform Alpha, a combination of Nerdist and Geek and Sundry. And this was their kind of G4-esque or Attack of the Show-esque hour-long segmented show. And so having written for that and knowing how segments works and intros and outros, I think I really filled in the gaps of what Lucas was looking for, because he's aces on the technical end and also on coming up with ideas and knowing what a stream and a live stream actually is and what it looks like and how to interact with chat. And then just to have the nuts and bolts nailed down in the script, that's where I came in. So it was so fun. And then it turned into, on the show, like, because of how things were, Lucas, Zach, and I were the 3 people who knew what was happening pretty much every second. But Lucas and Zach had to be in the tech control booth that was a little bit removed from the stage. And I was the third and final person who knew what was going on the stage. So I actually got to kind of turn into a bit of a stage manager, and they had a stage manager and they were doing a great job too. But as far as what needs to happen next and what props even play or which ad or whatever. So I got to kind of tell I don't know. I played a bigger part, which felt good. Like not quite director, not quite stage manager, but a little bit of, I don't know. What I would call myself is just person who knew WTF was going on.
That's huge.
That's me. Yeah.
That is a huge
That's
thing.
very important.
I think in many ways, in previous D&D lives, that was the role that I kind of fell into because I just knew the schedule. I knew where things needed to be. I knew which talent needed to be where and get prepped for what was happening next. And of course, you're right. There were stage managers and directors and people who were doing the actual work. But for some reason,
as far as like a point person who, if anyone needed to know, or like some crew member that I didn't even know was operating a camp, I don't know, because there were so many crew people there. But if they even at lunch, everyone's like, "Are we back?" And I'm like, "No, you still have 30 minutes because the next thing is just a sound on tape, something that we're cutting to, so we don't have to be back for another 30." And they were like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yes, you can trust me. Eat your lunch."
I know these things.
Yeah, I know these things, and you can always blame me if something went wrong. And it was this like level of responsibility and power, not to quote Spider-Man too much, but in a way that just it like, I don't know if you felt this way, Greg, when you were doing it, but it felt like using the whole buffalo. And I feel like as humans and creatives, that's all you're trying to do is just like, guys, I have so many talents and I can really be in charge and be a leader and okay, let's go. And then when the whole buffalo is used, you just feel so like warm and fuzzy and like you're I don't know, to quote Loki, you have a glorious purpose.
Yeah, it feels very like your mind is going to be filleted at any moment, but you're also on edge. Yes. And you're like, oh yeah, no, I can do this. I can do this. I used to call it just solving problems. Like, I'm just going to go through everything and I'm just going to solve any problem I see, or if people, come up to you for anything.
Yes, and I'm not wishing for problems, but I have a confidence that I can solve them.
Well, and that's
have either of you?
Go ahead.
Well, have either of you watched Olympic badminton by chance?
No, Olympic badminton?
You need to watch because we watched it as a joke. We were like, okay, let's see badminton in the Olympics. Because in 7th grade, I won a trophy in badminton and I am not athletic. And it is like the one sport that you can just have a cocktail and a racket and just play and have fun. Oh no, like they were crazy. Like it was like, bah, 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 bah. Like I take everything back about badminton. The point of that is that hearing the two of you talk about your experiences as like stage managers and problem solvers for D&D Live makes me think of those Olympic badminton people that are just constantly, bam, like hitting those birdies down, bam, bam, back over the net, like nothing falls. It's
just
a constant stream. So but you will also love Olympic badminton.
Love watching it. I just love watching people be experts.
I know.
Anything. Just the expertise involved and like, that's just something that, like, I don't want to say I could never do, but you can see the 10,000 hours or more in their work. So I should check that out. Cause you're right. When I heard that, I was like, really? We're going here now, Shelley? But,
we are. It's Olympic badminton is journey. I've never seen anything quite like it. But it also was like, am I watching like a Will Ferrell movie right now? Because it did actually like have like a sense, like they were so serious, but in like a Will Ferrell sort of way.
Yeah. You know what's fascinating? There is a documentary series. I think it's called 6 Days or something like that, or 7 Days. It was on Netflix or something like that, and it was basically being able to take like a show or a production. And they go back 7 days before it starts, and they do a day by day of like, this is what this day was like, this is what this day was like. And it always reminded me of what D&D Live felt like, where it was like, how cool would it be to see like a week before, like the sets being built, and then like each day, like having more talent kind of, come in and all the problems that go about it. And it's really, if anyone is interested in the idea of production and how it can be done, it is worth checking out for sure.
Oh my God. It's just, and it's also a testament to like, this would never happen if there wasn't, like, if we didn't have a time for the show to start, because at that point it's just gonna happen. And then it did. And like, I just remember how, when they first started reading the teleprompter, and like, it was very emotional. I was like,
I bet.
Oh my God, it's actually happening. And all of this prep, there's just nothing like live television because there's no editing. There's like a lot of rehearsal and leading up to it, but that whatever it is, and that has its own pressure, but also its own charm to it. So yeah, it did work out, but when it first started, it was like quite the emotional experience, and it was cool. It's cool to be on the set that day, those 2 days. I mean,
yeah, and then you got to Dungeon Master.
I did get to Dungeon Master,
play the game.
Yeah, with some really, I feel like I'll just say it. I feel like I had the best table because I definitely because I got to play with players in person, which I know some of the celebrity table or the comedians table and the wrestlers table weren't able to do that. So live in person, always better. And then I just had gamers, and they were down, like whether they knew what was actually how to play, which a few of them did not know how to play, but a few of them did, which is always, just a little bit easier to make a show out of. But those who didn't were just down. And that's why I love just gamers and performers, and all of them had been on camera before. So it was just like, my job is easy. Y'all are just going to do what you do. And not to mention everyone is, like, I know we have the comedians table, but you can't be on like G4 or a Twitch stream and not be excellent at comedy, improv comedy, interpersonal reactions. It was just so great. And on top of that, I got to prep because the adventure was set, or at least inspired by the Wild Beyond the Witchlight book. So I got a little sneak peek at the Feywild and the Witchlight Carnival. So that was just such a treat, which that was more than I signed up for, writing D&D. It was like, okay, I guess we'll like touch on some points and do NDA and whatever. And then it was like DM and here's the book, or at least like, it wasn't the whole thing, but definitely some key chapters. And it was like, that was awesome.
Give me all of the material, Mr. Perkins.
Sneak peek. Yes.
Yeah.
So you had players. Oh gosh, Greg, we're not in sync. Greg and I, like, we missed like 1 week, and now we're just like, what?
We're on vacation mode still.
How do we do this? Go on, sir.
I was just going to confirm that what flubby bonks and guzzle shucks actually means, so that everyone knows.
Yes. They are trinkets. They're just trinkets. What the name came from, because with words like Jabberwock and Gob, it was inspired by Jabberwock and Gobstopper. And I basically made a little bit like a heightened, obviously Feywild version of the Gobstopper story in Willy Wonka, where the idea is this. They're just trinkets, and they're just names for trinkets in the Feywild, where it's also inspired by my boyfriend's grandfather was a carpenter builder, and I've never met him, but his like stories transcend him, and he would name things. He wouldn't use their real name, like I guess a wrench and a screwdriver, sure, but when you have those like weird bendy things in carpentry where you're like, whatever the hell that is, that would be, he'd call it like a flibberty doodle, or like he had a faddle-addle, like he would just call things these random things. And I was like, well, all of that sounds very Feywild. So I also look, I'm a little stinker. Let's put that in the teleprompter and make the host say that a million times. Let's just do it.
Yep.
That was the part that I think you let that slip at one point. You're like, I'm just doing it. It was in a meeting or something like that. You're like, I'm just doing it so that everyone has to say that out loud.
Somebody
I mean, it does create some intrigue. I am fairly good at naming things. So yeah, just, lean in to your talents and flubby wanks and guzzle shucks. I had a list of 6. There were 6 because there were 6 players, and each person got either a flubby bonk, a guzzle shuck, or the other things, a trag nabbit, or I don't know, something like that.
Damn, you are good.
I'm really good. Well, that wasn't one of them. I'm making up stuff, but they were expertly curated by my brain.
Becca's dog is going to have a new name by the time she picks him up.
Totally.
He no longer answers.
He has a good name now. It's Oshi, and so I feel really good about that. But we were talking about getting a dog, my boyfriend and I, and we would name him. If we got a boy, he'd be Ragnar, and if it's a girl, we would name her Rubu.
Oh, nice.
So,
Rubu.
But ideally, we have 2, Ragnar and Rubu.
feel like we need like a Feywild name generate, like this is your first initial in your birth month or whatever. Can you do that for us, Amy?
Yeah, I'll just get on that real quick.
Okay.
Write some bots. Make it
wait, I have them right here. And I think I only said them once because 2.5 hours to play a one shot is actually not much time. And it always surprises me how quickly that goes. Okay. Flubby Box, Guzzle Shucks. There's a Blither Boofs, a Dapple Floodle, very much inspired by my boyfriend's grandfather, Torg Nubbins, and Cudger Bags.
Cudger Bags. That one sounds slightly dirty, and I don't know why.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Is like also in Harry Potter, you know, like Hogwarts, and there are just some spells where you're like, we say Hogwarts now and just say we know what that is and it's fine. But if you think about it, that's disgusting.
Right.
Like so, Hogwarts was never wonderful and beautiful. It's always been the wart on a hog. But it's just in the vernacular now.
This is something we've been reading Harry Potter to my son, and like hearing it again, like it's usually my husband reading it out loud. I'm like, Hogwarts.
Yeah.
How did I never question like those two words together and what that is? Until very recently, I had that same revelation. Hogwarts. Ugh.
Dumbledore. Not really a very wizardy sounding name, really.
No, you're right.
But now it is. Now it is. You
because
can't
we think of it that way. But
and Dumbledore is the one who sings Hogwarts, Hogwarts, Hoggy, 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 Hogwarts. And like, you know, you just lean in and you're like, all right, Hogwarts it is.
Yeah.
It's happening. It's happening.
Naming things is very important. You're very lucky that you have that.
Well, I was excited for everyone to learn the name Fisban's Treasury of Dragons.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Speaking of good names.
Yes. That was really, that was so cool. And that was so cool that I got to be part of that discussion because I know there are tons of contributing writers and, you know, the vicinity of me literally just off the set made it very
and also
hard.
Writing the script.
Well,
I mean, you could just literally be like, and now Amy enters.
For no reason at all, it's time for Amy's turn on camera. Doesn't she look great?
Wow, Amy. James Wyatt says, you are so talented, Amy. I've never worked with a writer as talented as
he's veering from the script. He's talking too much about the Treasury of Dragons. Back to the prompter. That was really fun to be able to help announce that. Not to mention to work on the book. And
tell us what your part was in the book.
Yes. Okay. So I am a contributing writer to Fisbin's Treasury of Dragons, which is the Dragon Compendium that will be out later this year. And I basically played Fisbin, which means that like Xanathar's or Volo's Guide to Monsters and Xanathar and Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, all of those books have a character title or a character who is part of the title. And then they have their little, like what I call little Post-it notes and their commentary on the more crunchy part of the text, the more rules-based or, less colorful part of the text that is important for the games. But just having their commentary adds some life and flavor and gives the whole text kind of just like a string that threads it all together. And so I was tagged by James Wyatt, but he told me that I was actually recommended by Chris Perkins to play Fisbin because they were looking for, guess what, a bit of a silly voice. And that is something that I definitely can do. So that was just another cool little Venn diagram thing of like, oh yeah, I've done a bunch of comedy, some songwriting. You know, I called him when my boyfriend was like, what are you working on? It was always like, oh, wizard tweets. I'm just writing wizard tweets that are, you know, based on what the book was about and what the book was talking about. But it was really just adding, James and I called them quips. And this was the first time I think he had done a project like this. It definitely was mine. So we just came up with the way I would give it to him is an Excel document. And on one column, it was the chapter or the subchapter where I think it should go or what it's alluding to. And then the next part was the actual wizard tweet or post-it note or like Fisbin's quip.
Yeah. I like wizard's tweet. Like, I feel like that's something that we should trademark right now.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know that not all of them got in the book. So once it's out, I can just, y'all own it. So you could just take everything and run with it. Or I don't know. It was just so fun because it was all very like, there were so many different ones. It was a lot of, the other thing I wanted to say about that is James was like, we're doing something weird with Fisbin. We're like definitely saying that Fisbin is Bahamut. We're like, yes, he's Bahamut. This is his version in human form is Fisbin the Fabulous. But also we're saying he's also had Bahamut himself has had other iterations, including a female. And we're not really commenting too much on that. But ideally we have like in the tweets or the quips, we get a sense that this person transcends time, transcends gender, it isn't one thing or another. And then on top of that, in the books, in the Dragonlance novels, Fisbin himself is really doddering to the point of like, whoopsie, what's a dragon? I don't remember the spell. How do you say these words? Like really cute, but you can't really write, you can't be like an expert on dragons in the compendium when you're like that's not a valid like commentary. Like, what the heck is this right here? Maybe you'll know. So I had to come up with like a different voice that's like equally silly and charming, but not quite forgetful, and does like is conscious and knows what's going on. And that turned into a bit of a doddering professor, but very sweet and kind and like loves everything to do with dragons, has bunches of weird stories that he can pull from, and loves sweets and monsters and just is like kind of bemused and whimsical about everything. So some of the quips are a little bit nodding to like, oh, if you don't really want to play this monster as a monster, here's a story about that monster that kind of, is a little bit, makes the monster a little bit more charming. And maybe this monster could be your friend, which is one of the themes, I guess, of Treasury of Dragons, is like a dragon doesn't have to be a monster. It can be like so many different things in your story. So yeah, anyway, I could talk for a long time about it.
That's really interesting because like the whole idea of multiverse, I think, is people are thinking about a lot, with the Loki and WandaVision and things that have been in the collective consciousness with the MCU and I feel like this is a lot of the way James has been talking about, the way you've been talking about this book. It feels like dragons are that part of the D&D multiverse that are holding on to it, and you might not remember all of the versions of yourself, but there's this remembrance or dream remembrance that can happen, and I love that that's trying to get across in these very funny.
Yes.
Wizard tweets.
I know. And there were, there's one, I probably can't even say it, but I know there's one that James came up with it. He was like, something like this, but I don't know. You're the quip master. I was like, no, that's really great. It's really funny. Like, I think we all, as like D&D players, we probably could all just contribute to this. It's like just tapping into a little bit of silly and then some lore, but really it's more about the like, ooh, it would be fun to play this, and just what's fun. But yeah, he was awesome at just kind of giving me a lot of free reign to, I don't know, mess with stuff. It felt like.
Yeah. And the way you were describing how you wrote those quips, it sounds similar to how you were describing writing the dialogue that showed up at the bottom of D&D Live.
Oh my God. I was going to ask, is that you too? Was that you too?
Yeah.
Oh my God. That was one of my favorite parts.
The charity monster, you mean?
Or like when they were the monsters were going up against.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I found out what those are called because I was describing it to a friend and they said those are called barks, which is like in a video game, someone has to write, when you attack something or just interact with someone or walk past them, like in Skyrim or whatever, they're going, oh, okay. Oh, I shot an arrow in the knee or whatever. And someone is writing those barks, and they said that that's what it was. So yeah, I had a lot of fun playing with, just as the different monsters that the dragon was fighting, like they just had a different flavor. If they got hit, if they missed, what was his name? Toravel actually won. And it was really fun. That was a lot. It was a lot of work because those things are just like, I think list making in a certain, like, still, it's almost like dialogue, it's almost like script writing, but no one's responding. So I don't know. It's like bulleted writing, and it's just a different beast. And I would not say I'm very fast at it, but it does wind up being quite fun.
But you were good at it, because my eyes were glued to the bottom of the screen. Like, I love the trash talking happening with these monsters. It was so good.
Oh,
it was just so funny.
Oh, that's great. Oh, I can share with you. I actually have it right here. The journal. I have a bullet journal on how I write those things, because they were
a bullet journal even.
Yes. So I don't really recommend Googling bullet journals, because you can really go down a rabbit hole of a lot of different thoughts.
Sounds like you're going down a rabbit hole right now. With all the sound effects
She's going to the Feywild right now.
This is going to be worth it.
A Herringon's going to pop up.
Oh, very stoked on that.
Did somebody say Feywild?
Is that the canonical voice of Herringons?
It is.
It is now.
I'm going to talk to Chris Perkins later this afternoon. I'm going to ask him. Hello. Would you like to come to the Feywild?
Yes. So this is what it looks like.
Wow.
And so each square was, I can't remember, one, it was either, I don't know, each square was, I really can't remember, 1, 2, I've done different ones. So anyway, it doesn't really matter. It's 1, 2, 5, or 10. I break them up into just like manageable chunks of like how much fun it would be to color in. So I think it was 5. For every 5, I would get a box and then get to color it in. But yeah, that was like, then I could look at it and like color different colors and be like, no, I actually did work, and I am making progress and making a dent. And that was like really key, because you can get in the weeds of just like one quip, another quip, like it can get a little tedious, but this made it just fun and trackable. So,
were those your drawings in there that we saw briefly?
No. Oh. This is a journal called the Hero's Journal, and no one's paying me to. But you are the hero on your own quest. So you get cool. I don't know. They give you little quotes, and they make it. I don't know. They make it where you're like logging in, and every 30 entries you're like recapping what happened, and you're in Act 1, and how did you refuse the call, and that kind of thing. So it's like modeled after the hero's journey, it's a hero's journal.
Nice.
Oh, that's super cool. Yeah, I like the bullet journals. I want to be one of those journals.
You want to be one of those people?
I went and got the stickers and the marker, and actually I'm using the bullet journal from 2 years ago to prop up my laptop right now.
Wow. Yes. That is perfect. That is how they were always meant to be used.
I like the colors and the Post-its and the stickies, and I just but it's an interesting concept you're talking about, to use it as a reward for writing.
Yeah. It's very strange that it is a reward where I get to use colored pencils. It's whatever. I'm definitely a video game minded person. So whatever it is, whatever the reward, I'm very rewards oriented. So if I can trick myself, which I can, because I'm smart, but not smarter than myself, then that's the way to
easily
do it.
trickable. It's very clever. It's very clever.
Seems like a Fisbin quote right there.
I am smarter, but not smarter than my soul.
Yes, you're right.
That's Fisbin's voice, by the way.
That is canonical.
Yes.
I love it, Shelley. That's an awesome voice. Awesome Fisbin
I'm feeling
voice.
really inspired.
A little
inspired talking.
Almost sounds a little drunk too, which or like, you know, a little stoned.
But I feel like that tracks a little.
Absolutely. Yes.
I mean, you tell me as the voice.
Yeah.
Did he get like a little slurry towards the end? A little loose lip?
Was that your reward?
I did. I will see if it made it in there. There's no way it did, but you know, I can't help myself. There were a few fart jokes. And after every single one, I was like, sorry, James. Sorry.
Farts are funny.
What, I'm not supposed to write something down that I thought? I have to self-edit?
I mean, everybody
You're not
farts.
paying me enough for that.
Yeah.
You hire me, you get my unadulterated writing style.
Well, that's like the candle. Well, I don't know. You're probably bringing that up, but Candlekeep Mysteries were one of the characters' names. So I had this isn't a spoiler, but there's a cult, and the way they name themselves is a farm export and then a farm animal, and that creates things like llama peach, you know, or that. Anyway, you get it. But one of them was dog nuts, and that one did not make it.
Dog nuts didn't make
it. Yeah. Dog nuts didn't make it. R.I.P. But yeah.
Still, you can still bring it into your own playing of your adventure from Candlekeep Mysteries if you want to.
Yeah, there was a part of me that was like, maybe it will, because in the Dragon of Icespire Peak, there is an NPC that is a child who just his like MO is kicking people in the genitals.
I have a story.
Okay.
Hold on.
Okay.
For real.
This is another show and tell.
Anyway, she's gonna say that I'm right, and so what? Like, no,
oh my god, this is so cool.
What?
Okay. Can you see
my
this?
God.
Okay, that's the child right here, right? That you're talking about, that NPC, the sidekick.
That's right.
Quinn Hightopple, I think his name is.
And that
other picture is my kid.
And it's based on what is wrong with your kid that he's like
a boy. He's like, at the time he was like 4 or 5, and I think like he had this thing about just like punching my husband in the groin. He was just like, this is really funny. And so I think like goodness. Bart was like created like his D&D character or something, and like Perkins thought it was funny, and somehow he was like, he's going to become a sidekick, and we're going to call him Quinn Hightopple, and his ability is, or his thing is like punching people in the groin. That's
yes.
And so Sean he said, give me a picture of Quinn, my son Quinn, and I did. I gave him his class picture, which you're looking at.
Oh my God.
And
Brent, is this the first time you've heard this?
Oh no, I knew this.
Oh, you already knew this? Oh my God.
And so then Sean went and like created him, and my son is just like, it's the coolest thing. Like, I'm in a D&D book.
He's immortalized.
He's immortalized. That's so
How
funny.
great is that?
I've never heard like anybody actually like in the real world like reference Quinn's character. He's gonna love that.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Tell him that. I mean that's so cool. Shelley, that's amazing.
I know.
He was in a WWE and still is, wrestling kind of mode, I think, too. That's where a lot of that came from. Bart would
like
complain
a lot of
about,
showmen.
Something would complain about him, like, hurting him from jumping on him. And I think that's where the groin punching
Bart's been to like physical therapy because of Quinn's wrestling moves.
That's fantastic.
Yes, he doesn't do that for me.
So I think if that's in there, then dog nuts should have been
That's
in
what
there.
I want. Like, I don't understand why we didn't get dog nuts. And
yeah. All right.
These
well,
nuts.
now I know a little bit more of the story. So
I don't know. We'll have to talk to
I'm
Perkins.
going to do exactly nothing, but I'm gonna know deep down that dog nuts might have deserved a little more attention.
Well, hopefully we see dog nuts pop up in a future D&D adventure.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah, I'll just spell it wrong or weird. I'll like get all Gygax on it and just be like, it's big nuts, but
add a few apostrophes and some extra Z's on the end.
It'll be like a dragon. dragon's name.
Yes.
But speaking of your Candlekeep Mysteries adventure, I think I just saw someone on Twitter say that their players had just gotten to the realization of what happens, and they're so excited about that.
Oh, it's so cool. There have been a few people have tweeted at me like, "Oh, this is so cool." My players, like, when they realized, what the twist is, which I won't spoil it here because why, but then there have been some streams, and so this one was, as far as I could tell, it was just a one-shot stream. And when they got to the reveal, it was so joyful for the dungeon master, and you could see it on his face. He was like, la la la, and then the other players were like, "Oh God, oh my God, oh no!" And it was like, "This is everything."
Is that the reaction you were going for? The dungeon master's glee and the players rolling their eyes?
I mean, yeah, that's a. I don't know. I like ideally. I mean, as long it did seem like tongue-in-cheek disappointment, but also like they were actually flummoxed, which is interesting because there's a world where you play the adventure and you find out immediately what the twist is. But they had played it to where they didn't know it was the thing until the thing was imminent, and that is its own little just like a jewel of like player experiences. So I didn't have really a goal on how anyone would feel playing it, but I did want to write something where I knew that I would have fun running it for my players, or my ideal players, I guess. So yeah, I think the fun came through, and the fact that you said that there's Dungeon Master glee. What I had to realize immediately writing the adventure, because I just didn't realize that it was a letter to the Dungeon Master. Like, you're writing a letter literally to the Dungeon Master. So you're not actually the Dungeon Master. You're not running this game when you're writing the adventure. You're like helping someone navigate your own brain. And it doesn't really have anything to do with how you would run it. You're just like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. And then really nailing down some actual stats and some actual information so that someone else can add their own creativity and their own spin to it. And that was very mind muckery is what I'll say.
Right, because I think we talked about this, back earlier in the year, right? Where like there's that idea of like you can write an adventure for yourself pretty easily, right? You can just take a few notes, make a bullet journal page about it, and you can pretty much run in the night what you're going to be doing, and you can't do that very well for another person, right? So I like that description that you just had of it. It's a letter to a dungeon master, or like a guide for them on how to run this particular story that you're trying to get across.
Even because when you just have to work backwards, because it's like when Chris was the project director for that, and he made it clear, like, you're writing a mystery, but you hide nothing from the dungeon master. Immediately the dungeon master should know what the mystery is, how to solve it, what the twist is at the very beginning, because they're going to be the ones who are playing the game that need to kind of plant the seeds, and you can help them plant the seeds on their way. But it's going to be backwards. You're not writing a story or plot, because the players are the main characters. So you can't write a plot without the main characters. You're just, I don't know what he said, but it was something akin to, you're building a playground, and then the players can interact how they want. But that didn't, I mean, when you're writing a mystery, everything about your brain is like, but what could be behind the door? What, and you want to ask those questions, and it's totally irrelevant in adventure writing, because it's a dungeon master's job, not your job as the writer, which is weird.
Right. It's almost like writing a show Bible before you know what the show's about.
Yes. Yeah. And you're not writing the episodes, and you're not casting it, and you're not telling the actors what to do or anything. You're just being like, like, this is it. This is the thing. Now you go forth and you're able to kind of get the tone, I guess, which I don't think I ever meant for it to be. I don't know. Everyone's like, that one's silly. And I'm like, I guess I I didn't try to make it silly. I just wanted something to be I just wanted the Candlekeep library to be something other than you thought it was. That's all. But I guess it did kind of get silly with dog nuts. So I am who I am.
Can't fight it forever.
Yeah.
No. I can't wrap my brain around like adventure writing in general, but also as you're saying, like, and then it's a mystery. Like on top of that, I'm just like, come on, like I don't know, like writing an adventure is one thing, but no, the mystery part, forget it.
How? I thought the same thing, Shelley. That like, oh shit, a mystery.
Yeah.
Dang it. But what I realized pretty early on is it really most D&D adventures are mysteries, because you're not giving, it's not like, okay, you go here, go there, kill this guy, and you do it. It's like a lot of players going, what's going on? Okay, what are our options? Who do we know? And that, even that is just a mystery, like you setting the scene and they're like, even just, just classic D&D where you're choosing a door in a dungeon. To the west is this, to the north is this, to the east. It's like, that's still a mystery. And they just have to choose. So it wound up, I was very daunted. And then what I came up, it's really just here's the thing. It's not what you think it is. and then you just find ways to like subvert that, or I guess plant it different places so they can figure it out one way or another. It's hard to talk about it without like giving away the twist. Sorry.
Do you want them to figure it out before they get to the grand reveal?
That's the other thing. There's no grand reveal. Like I wasn't able to say at this moment, this is when this happens. There was a ticking clock where a big thing happens, but at any time, literally like from the intro scene, they could find out what is going on and what is going to happen. So I was unable, like you can't write a grand reveal because the players really could figure it out. Mm-hmm. They still have stuff to do. Like if they want to stop it, prevent it, if they want to just ride the wave and let the big thing happen, like those are all valid options. But there was no climax moment. So that's a dungeon master thing, which I didn't realize. Like I thought I'd be able to write that in there. Like, this is towards the end of the adventure. We've written for 13 pages. This is on page 11. This makes sense. But no, it wasn't, page 13 is monsters and page 11 is like, not, I don't know. It's more, here's a room. This is what's in the room. Like it's like, well, if you go in this room, you'll figure it out. If you don't, here's another way to figure it out. I don't know. It's very interesting. It's so mind-breaking.
It's like it's you're writing for branching, reality, and you're like, let's try to give you all the tools you need to understand existence. Basically.
And I'm just one woman.
I can't do all that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and then it's very different than writing a mystery in a novel or even a screenplay sense, because you want to give the hints in a very specific and orderly fashion, right? So you give the information piecemeal, and then you can have a reveal that you're crafting. But as an adventure writer, that's not your job. You just have to give the pieces and then allow the director or the dungeon master to weave it the way that works best for their cast that's there.
Absolutely. Yep.
And yet it's not easier.
No,
it should
harder.
be. If you're just like, I just have to drop the pieces here. But no, it's so much harder to do it that way.
Yeah, because I think we're all natural. I would argue that every single person is a natural storyteller because you grow up watching stuff, consuming media, and just, listening to people describe their experiences. So we all get stories, but are we all like IKEA directions writers? No, that's its own little gnarly skill. So that is a bit what it seemed like at times, like this is how it's lit. These are the things that are available. This is what is exactly in this room, including the NPCs. So it's so, I don't know if I believe necessarily in right brain, left brain, but if I did, it'd be a lot more left brain than any version of like creative it's very creative, but it felt very like, we're over here now. We're in the left brain. Answer these logical questions.
And then you can get it all set up perfectly. Even the dungeon master can do it really well. And the players will just mess it up, which...
That's right.
Is the content of your song, DM's Lament.
Oh, yes, exactly. Oh, my gosh.
I can't believe we've been talking for 45 minutes here, and we're just covering stuff you've done for Wizards. But you have so many other amazing stuff that you've been doing your entire career.
Yeah.
I love DM's Lament. I thought that was one of the funniest kind of in the club kind of productions out there.
Thank you. I wrote that. That was the fastest song I had ever written, and it came from a place of rage, but it. Maybe that's why, like some high emotions, but not. I mean, I mean that a little tongue in cheek. It's definitely. I don't know that I agree with the song, and I kind of feel bad that like everyone's favorite song is kind of a like I'm a DM and all my players suck, but the struggle is real. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I have a conflicting mind of it, and I definitely mean it in the more humorous way, other than like, man, you players suck. But it is like it's from a point of view of being a dungeon master, and wow, I put a lot of work into it, and you guys are just not showing up. You didn't level up your characters. We only have this much time in the game, and like I really have some cool stuff planned, but you're gonna do literally anything else. Oh my God, there's some real frustrations there.
Very relatable.
Oh, someone's getting their mail.
Getting the mail.
Oshi, come here. All right, the mail has been gotten, and we've been protected, just so you know.
Yes.
I have been totally...
I feel safer knowing that Oshi is there.
Yeah, well, that song was on the album "Songs in the Key of D&D."
I love it so much. What other things were you inspired to write about in the album?
On that album, it was all, I had written a bunch, like we had a stream on Saving Throw show where we were playing every 2 weeks, and then that turned into once a week. And it was just, I don't know, I just started writing songs that were based on in-game experiences, but also more universal. Like one of the in-game is Ode to Fartunia, which is an NPC that we let chat name. Of course, they chose Fartunia.
Why not?
And then someone, I think it was Tom Lommel, and he was like, you should write a ballad, like a love ballad to Fartunia. And I was like, I will take that challenge. And the key part of that song is that the person singing it to Fartunia says, I love you basically because when I stand next to you, you make me look great because you are so heinous. And but it like from a very, like the whole song is very folksy. And then the more universal ones are like the DM's Lament, or you don't dress up to play D&D. And that one is just, you don't dress up to play D&D. You don't dress up to play D&D. You don't dress up to play D&D unless you want to, like me. And
that's cute.
Yeah, that's my rap song. And I had a friend go, Amy, please don't rap. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna rap. It's not amazing. It's very white girl rap, but it's fun words. Yeah.
Fun for wordplays.
Yeah. Words are fun.
But can I take this time to plug what's coming up? So I'm making a new album, and it's called Behold Her Dreams. Do you smell the pun? It's a pun on beholder dreams. And as we know, a beholder dream is something like when a beholder sleeps and dreams, whatever they dream can actually turn into reality, and is normally some amalgamation of some weird, really messed up stuff, and is evil and a monster. And so it's basically like, I came up with a bunch of songs during quarantine and lockdown. You get what you get. Here it is. So it's equally fun. They're a little bit more. There are actually some, love songs. There's a creepy lullaby. There are 2 references to D&D, but it's definitely not all D&D this time. So, nice. But I'm having a lot of fun kind of making it and choosing which songs go on the album. And I'm actually kickstarting it to make it really good. And that'll launch on August 31st, and that'll go for 23 days. So it ends on September 23rd, and it's just going to be really fun. I've taken some really cool pictures to promote it, and it'll be my first ever crowdfunding anything.
Wow, that's really exciting.
It is, yeah. Thank you.
I've been enjoying the quarantine albums that have come out.
Yeah, they're very creative.
It's been very creative, but also like just it feels, I don't know, validating to have people be like, "Hey, things were just as crappy for me," or like this was.
Yeah,
you know.
I'll tell you what was a little too real was Bo Burnham's Inside.
Yes.
We watched it to intermission and then had to take a break, and they're like, "We'll revisit this. It's kind of making me sad."
It totally does, but
it's expert level art. It's just buckle up. I don't know if you're gonna feel good after watching it. You might feel inspired at best, but it's not. And you might chuckle and laugh, but it's real dour. At times.
There's some bangers on there too, though, that I just enjoy listening to for whatever reason. Even the ones that are like really dark, I'm like, yay!
I think my favorite is, I don't even know. The lyrics are just like, Jeff Bezos, go. We're rooting for you. Jeff Bezos, go. Kill everybody. And that's like it. That's the end of the song. It's
you did it.
Yeah.
Way to go, good. Jeff. Yeah. My favorite is the one that's, I feel like shit. Like, wake up in the morning and I feel like shit.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, global misery.
But I felt like everybody at D&D Live, I don't think you and I actually talked about Bo Burnham's Inside, but I feel like everybody else I talked to mentioned it somehow.
Oh
like
my God, yeah.
It felt like it was very of LA as well, too, of like a creator kind of people who are making stuff.
Absolutely.
Felt very inspired by
I just love that he was so honest that it took him a year because, like an hour of like premium for like, I'll say art because content kind of reduces it, I think. Mm-hmm. But premium art for an hour of good content that took a year sounds about right. And he was so honest about everything. I just love how he showed it. He showed the room, he showed the production, he showed if he's a one-man show, that means that he's got cameras here. He's testing lighting and cameras, and he's just doing so much work for 5 seconds that you actually wind up seeing. And it was like, yes, watch that. That is why movies cost so much to make. That is why, we have, hundreds of people working on one film. It was very, it was very validating as a creator.
For sure. Well, and I can't wait for your album. What's it called again?
Behold Her Dreams.
Behold Her Dreams.
Yes.
And
Behold Her Dreams. I named it that, and I don't really now. This podcast is a good podcast to mention what the pun is, but sometimes it's just like that's just a nice title, and then if you know, you know,
and then if you know
what, we know,
we know.
Yeah,
you're creating other beholders
exactly
each time you dream.
I'm telling you, I can remember exactly where I was when I learned that.
Well, do you want to tell us
how beholders create other beholders by dreaming about beholders?
What? Yeah. Where were you?
Oh, I was in a conference room at Wizards of the Coast called House on the Hill. It's actually House on the Hill is the name of that conference room. I remember like the chair I was sitting in and like actually just sitting there. And I wanted really very much to say, wait, what? Wait, tell me more. But I was like, I bet everyone here already knows this. And like, and I don't want to be like the one person that's like, what? But then I found out later, like 3 people were like, what the hell's up with beholders? Like, what's that all about? Cool. I'm like, well, we should have had, it was Chris Perkin. We should have had him like really sit us down like Beholder Health class and explain this to us. What?
And also he would have loved it. He would have like,
he probably would have relished that.
You in.
Yeah. Push the overhead projector into the room. Start doing some diagrams.
Show us on which eye stalk was touched.
But that's horrifying to me.
Conference room doesn't exist anymore. That's the other weird thing about that. That it doesn't exist. And
what do you mean? Why?
It doesn't exist. That's the one. It got remodeled at some point. It's no longer. It's the kitchen on the third floor, I think.
No, equally as terrifying as
it got moved. It got moved to next to Ray's office.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of the one that had Magdalena from
You're right.
Widow's Walk.
Yeah, I think we did, and I think I fought to keep the name or something.
Nice.
I think I made like a big.
You're fighting the good fight.
I felt like every now and again, I will fight for a good fart pun
Oh, will you?
Yes, I will, Amy. So I will be in your corner if you need help with litigating fart pun.
Litigating. Yeah.
Lobbying. I will lobby for her. Thank you.
Dear James Wyatt, you've been served on account of farts.
Fisbin needs more fart jokes.
The defense rests on this whoopee cushion.
That's great.
Oh, it's perfect. You can join our lobbying team, Greg.
Yeah.
I love it.
Very happy to.
Well, Amy, all of your work on D&D Live, on Candlekeep Mysteries, Fisban's Treasury of Dragons, and this upcoming Beholder album. I can't wait for all of it. You are just a pleasure, and you make me laugh all the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, it was so nice to talk to you guys today. This was awesome.
Other than all the stuff we just plugged, where's the best for people to start following you, get to know more about all of your amazing creations?
You can follow me at Vorpahl Sword on Instagram and Twitter. And then my website, amyvorpahl.com, is where you can subscribe to my fun newsletter. I just send it out once a month. But you also, with a subscription, you get 2 free songs. And one of them is the DM's Lament.
Oh, I'm going to subscribe right now.
Yeah.
Have you been able to crack open a pack of Adventures of the Forgotten Realms and get a Vorpahl Sword card yet?
When I played for Command Zone. I played Tiamat, actually, which was really fun to play Tiamat, after knowing that Fisbin is Bahamut, and it was just really fun. But in my deck is a Vorpahl Sword. I did not, or I think it's on the card, I think it's Vorpahl Blade. I'm not sure. No.
Maybe right.
No, I think it's Vorpahl Sword because people keep tagging me in it. And I don't think they would tag me if it was Vorpahl Blade. But anyway, that was definitely in the deck. I never actually drew it, but there was something about, equipping a dragon with a Vorpahl Blade and then doing damage that, just like would have been really sweet.
It's like nonstop chef kiss as far as the eye can see.
Yes. This is what infinity looks like. It's like just fist after Tiamat has a Vorpahl Blade.
Oh, that's 5. You get 5 kisses from Tiamat. That's nice.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, awesome. I can't wait. I haven't pulled one yet either. And each time I do, this is the Amy Vorpahl card.
Yes. I think it's a Twitter mandate that if you do pull it, you have to tag me just based on my interaction with it.
Done and done. Okay. I will be tagging.
Thank you.
And I am signed up for the newsletter officially. Oh! See how easy that was, everyone? You didn't even know. Wow. You didn't even know I was doing it in the background.
Oh, she secret subscribed until it wasn't a secret anymore.
I'm a secret subscriber to you, Amy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, great. Well, everybody's going to go do that now at the podcast. So thanks for coming by.
Yay.
Thank you.